Minion Masters is an addictive, fast-paced hybrid of card games and tower defense, featuring 13 masters, over 260 cards, 1v1 and 2v2 gameplay in both PvP and PvE modes. This game has it all, and did I mention it's available for free on both Steam and Xbox? I'm BadasFish80 and this is a beginner's guide to Minion Masters. As a new player in Minion Masters, the game will teach you a lot of the basics through a tutorial. So we're going to assume at this point that you've got through the tutorial and you're here, you're sitting on this, the main Minion Masters screen. So we're going to go through the sections of the screen and have a look at what they offer. The first thing to notice, straight in the middle of the screen, we have our currently selected master. So here we have Apep. Now on the top left, we have a carousel that offers access to things like the Tri-Team Tourney, current Mayhems, and things like that. Right at the top of the screen, that's our currently selected deck. At the top right, we have something showing what we have available as a quest, as well as giving us an overview of our current season pass. Now on the right hand side, you see our team rank. Now this is the rank of the currently selected game mode. So for example, we can see here team rank. If we switch to a solo game mode, it changes to our solo rank. Now down in the bottom right, we have a bunch of buttons. Now we have our profile button, that'll take us to our profile. If we have a quick look here, we can see information about our profile, as well as we can access our quests, achievements, and our match replays. Additionally, down here we have a button for the shop, customization, which allows you to buy different skins for the masters. We have the power tower, and we have deck building. Right down at the bottom in the middle, we have a list of different game modes. Now, I'm going to make a future video that goes into the different game modes in a bit more detail, but let's just quickly go over them here. So we have Battle, which is 1v1. We have Team Battle. Now, if you go into Team Battle, this will be randoms. If you create a lobby, so play with friends and create a lobby, then that'll be pre-mades. We have Adventures, which is the PvE side of things. So again, that is solo or co-op, but that's against the computer. We have draft mode, where you will draft a deck and then play against other drafters to see if you can get up to the 12 wins before losing 3 times. The challenges, which are great for new players, just playing against the computer to get some rewards, to learn some more strats in a less stressful environment. And if you're an experienced player and you want to just try a card out, see how it works, challenges can help you out there. And of course, the final option there is Mayhem. So Mayhem is where there's a very specific rule set. It changes every now and then. You build a deck, you do some things, you play some matches. Again, Mayhem is only 2v2, so that's randoms or pre-made, and you play it to see if you can get 12 wins. Of course, we have our big battle button in the middle, so if you're ready to go into a game, you just hit that. And then at the bottom left, we have a number of other settings. The chat here, which I've disabled for obvious reasons. We have access to settings, the news page, our friends list, leaderboard, and the guild, as well as the season pass. So there's a number of different ways to get to different parts of this. So for example, we've got the bottom button here for the shop. We can also click on the shop button, the chest takes us to it. Again, we've got a power tower button here, or we can click on the power tower, takes us directly to the power tower. Okay, so that's an overview there of the main screen. Let's dive in a little deeper to the deck building and the collection screens. So you either click on the button at the bottom right here for deck building, or you click on your deck at the top, takes you to the same place. So along the top, you'll see your current deck and your current master. The right hand side has your deck pages where you can save them. I've got 19 pages. You'll probably have a lot less, but you can get extra deck slots in the shop and through various purchases. Now, in the middle here, we have our collection. So this is where you can look through your collection, look at the cards, find out about them, and then add them to your deck at the top. What I prefer to do is have the collection view checked here, and that makes the cards a lot smaller, so you get a lot more on the screen. You can see the whole collection of cards, over 260 of them, just on a couple of screens. So that's something that's down to your preference. Now, if you're looking for a card you don't own, you can hit the crafting button here in the middle, and then that will show all of the cards, including the cards you don't have. The cards you don't have will be kind of grayed out or transparent, and then you can click on them, find out about them. If you want to craft them, then you can do.
Welcome back to another exciting round of Minion Masters. Let's duel.
Okay, let's have a quick look at the user interface when you're in a match. Now, one thing to mention is there are two versions of this user interface. If you watch people on Twitch or on YouTube, you may notice that they have a lot of the interface options at the top instead of the bottom, which is something that it's kind of down to user preference. And if you want to use that, that's called the Streamer UI, and that's available in the settings under the visuals. Now, what do we see here? So we got our match time at the top. We've got our current 4 cards down at the bottom. Now, one thing to pay attention to is we've got 4 cards that we can use as long as we've got the mana. We've also got our 5th card. Now, the 5th card is not playable. It needs to get into our hand, needs to be drawn before we can play it. But it's important information to hold, because knowing what is next is something that can really help you plan further ahead. So pay attention to not only the 4 cards, but also the 5th card. Now, down at the bottom here, that's our current mana. So we've got 5 mana at the moment. You gain mana over time. The longer the match goes on, the quicker you gain mana. You can also see that the cards we have a mana cost associated with them. So we've got a 2 mana Rocket Scrat here, or a 7 mana Beam of Doom. Now, because we've got 5 mana, these cards, these 3, are available to be played. Hence, they're coloured. Whereas the Beam of Doom, we don't quite have enough mana yet, therefore it is greyed out, and you can see there is kind of a clock face animation that counts down until you've got the required amount of mana. Now, the maximum amount of mana that you can see on the screen is 10, but behind the scenes, it actually almost goes up to 11. So what happens is once you're maxed out on mana, if you're not spending it, you start wasting it. That's referred to as flooding or burning. Now, you can get up to like 10.9, and then if you spend the mana before it ticks over to that 11th, then you won't lose any at all. Now, you might be wondering what this extra icon here is. Sometimes there's different techniques that you're using, different strategies within a deck that will require some kind of counter. Now, this is the counter for our Outlander tech. We'll do a different video that will give us more information on this, but if you're wondering what the numbers here are, that's going to be referring to something like this. Okay, so what else do we have? So we've got our player on the left, we've got our opponent player on the right. Okay, so down the bottom here, you have your list of perks. Now, each master has a specific auto attack and 3 specific perks. Now, one part of learning this game is learning the masters, how they can defend themselves and how to best utilize their perks during a match and with regards to deck building. Now, what will happen as the game goes on, these perks will slowly fill up as you gain XP, and then once each of these circles is fully completed, then you will have access to that perk. Now, how do you gain XP? Well, there's a few different ways. You gain XP natively over time. You can also gain more XP by holding bridges. So the game has 2 bridges, one at the top and one at the bottom. Now, they have 3 states. They can either be neutral, which you can see here indicated by the yellow, or if they are owned by you, they will be blue, and if they are owned by the opponent, they will be red. Whoever holds the bridge will be in charge of receiving the experience from holding that bridge. The way to take a bridge is simply to be the last ground minion on the bridge. One thing to note is air minions cannot take bridges. As mentioned, we have our perks here. Our opponent also has perks, so usefully you can mouse over them. So if you are learning the game and you're not sure of how the perks work for yourself or for your opponent, you can of course quickly mouse over them, have a quick read, and it'll tell you exactly what's going on. Okay, so that's pretty much all we need to know about the user interface. So let's just have a quick look at how the bridges work. So as mentioned, the bridges are both neutral at the moment in a yellow state. A good piece of advice for new players, don't spawn your mana as soon as possible. And there you can see we've taken both the bridges are blue, and you can see down here we've got 10 XP as opposed to our opponent's 7 XP, and our first perk circle is slowly filling up. The longer we hold the bridges, the bigger of an XP advantage we'll have. Okay, so there we go, we leveled up, our first perk's available, which is a free single use 2 mana card as we're playing a pair. So you can see the top bridge has gone yellow because it's neutralized since there's a red and a blue unit on it. So at that stage, no one's getting XP from it. And then again, we've taken the bridges back. So we've got a good XP lead at the moment, and the benefit of having an XP lead is you get your perks earlier than your opponent, which potentially should put you in a strong position. Also, there is a game kind of ending mechanic called Mana Frenzy, which is effectively the 4th perk, which is the same for all masters. And when you get to Mana Frenzy, every bit of XP you get is turned into mana. So that at that stage of the game, the bridges become even more important because you hold the bridges, they give you experience. Experience is turned into mana. Mana means you can spend, you can use more cards, get more spells, get more minions, and ultimately hopefully close the game out if you get to Mana Frenzy first. So we can see here again the bridges being neutralized. We're trying to fight them back. And that's probably enough. We don't need to see the whole match. This was, again, just a quick match against the bot. And as mentioned, if you want to use the challenge mode, it's a good way to try things out, to learn different approaches, test different cards, see how you get on. And there we have it. A beginner's guide to Minion Masters. Hopefully you found this content useful, and if you are enjoying the videos here in the fish tank, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Now, going forward, please let me know down in the comments what you would like to see covered next, which masters, cards, keywords, or mechanics you would like explained. I'm Bad as Fish 80, and this is An Awkward Wave.